Welcome back to another episode of the Mamas Podcast. I'm your host, Madison Walker, and Mamas is an acronym that stands for Madison on Motherhood, Marriage, and Stuff. In this episode, we are getting advice from a know it all, aka me, and we are diving right on into the motherhood side of things. But before we get too into this, I'm going to make a statement. I shouldn't have to, but I'm going to, simply to cover my own booty butt. I will at times refer to my stepson as my children, my child, my kid. I try my best to say bonus son or bio baby to kind of help keep you following me on who I'm talking about, relationship and story wise, and keep their names out of the pod for privacy reasons. But there will be times that I'm just talking about my kid in general or my children in general, and it's going to come out, okay? I don't need anyone to come at me saying I need to know my place or I'm overstepping or blah, 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 blah. I know my place. I know my role. I'm a stepmom. My bonus baby has a mom who's active and in his life. That role is filled, right? That's not my role. That's her role and she fills it. Great. I know my place. But fact of the matter, he is a huge active part of our life, of my life. He is my child. I love him. Both my kids, I love them tremendously. I love them both the same. And he is my family. I am his family. Those are the facts. If you don't like it, tough toots. I don't know what else to tell you. I shouldn't have to say that, but this is the reality in the world of being a stepmom at times. And if you're putting yourself there on social media, it can be very tricky. So, that's my statement. So I've been labeled and called the know-it-all, or that I think my way is the only way and the best way. So that is why this episode is called Advice from a Know-It-All, because I'm going to be giving you 3 big tips and advice that I think can be absolutely life-changing for you and your family and for the relationship with your kids and helping your parenting journey. So I just thought it was funny to call myself a know-it-all. I don't classify myself as a know-it-all, believe it or not. And I'm fully aware that there are many different ways to reach a desired outcome, especially when it comes to parenting. And parenting is going to look different for every single family and possibly every single child. Being a parent is a constant learning experience and it changes every single day. Like, I've never been a stepmom before. I've never been a bio mom before. This is my first time that I'm parenting a 5-year-old. And what works really good this week might not work at all next week. And for all I know, probably won't work at all for my next baby. Like, that is just a part of life and parenting. My parents have always kind of said this best. We are all learning as we go. So typically, the first baby, the first child has things a little harder or a little different than the last one. But we all are just out here learning and doing what we feel and think is best with the information that we have at the time. And on top of that, like, our children have never been children like this before. Like, they're learning too. That was a game changer mindset for me with being a first time mom with my newborn. I'm like, hey, my baby is learning all these things too. Like, this is his first time experiencing hunger and pain and sickness and teething. Like, this is all new for him. It's all new for me. We're all just learning together. So, for what it's worth, the information that I'm sharing with you today has changed our family for the better. It's helped us grow and have a safe and secure relationship with my kids. It's helped us decrease tantrums and meltdowns, and it's provided peace within our parenting. And if that wasn't enough to convince you that this knowledge is legit and helpful, my bonus son's therapist has been encouraging and teaching this information to us and telling us to do these things, but we have already been implementing and doing these things in our house for at least the last 2 years. So the information is obviously backed up. It works because therapists and other parent coaches and counselors and everybody, child education wise, is like, hey, these are strategies to do and use. So anyone that wants to disagree or have something negative that you want to say about it, I don't really care. You can just suck my toes. Okay. Oops, I just did not mean to do that. So here are 3 things that you can start to implement today with your kids, especially your bonus babies, that will play a major part in finding peace in the chaos of parenting. And it's going to support you having a safe and secure relationship with your bonus and your bio babies. I want to emphasize here that if you've got kids going from back and forth between 2 homes, I really, really, really think, especially this first tip here, is going to be a game changer when it comes to behaviors and tantrums and just the relationship in general, because of the amazing ways that it supports them developmentally. This episode is going to be a lot more than our previous episodes. Pre warning, packed full of information. Take notes if you need to. I encourage you to. Or go ahead and like and save this. You can come back to it. So, number 1, kids need consistency. From bedtime routines, morning routines, boundaries, consequences, meal times, kids need it to be consistent. They need to know what to expect. Having this consistency in their life does not make you an uptight person who thinks that you're perfect and everything has to be this way all the time. There's a happy medium when it comes to parenting and having consistency, okay? Especially if you've got bonus babies, there is going to have to be a happy medium. On occasion, your kids are going to go to bed past their usual bedtime. Life happens. On occasion, their night routine isn't going to be to a T because they're in a different place or whatever it may be, That's okay. But do as much as you can to give your kids consistency and routine, because you're going to be setting them up to be successful and you're going to be supporting their emotional, mental, and physical development through having routines and consistency. The more kids are able to understand and prepare for what is to come throughout their day, the more you're supporting them from a developmental standpoint and an emotional. And with this, like doing these things, you will see a decrease in pushbacks and tantrums. I guarantee it. Even starting as newborns, consistency and routines are very beneficial for them and their development. Do you have to have a perfect to the T on the time routine and whatever with your newborn? No. Us personally, we are a little bit more go with the flow, but especially now as my baby is getting a little bit older, we are getting more of a bit of a routine going around bedtime and such, because he's then knowing, oh, okay, I'm going to be laying down in my crib, which means longer sleep time. Like he's understanding what to expect, and it's that consistency that provides structure and a sense of safety is really what it does. Toddler age 1 to 3 absolutely thrive with routine and consistency, because this provides them with the structure that then they're able to understand what to expect. And this is huge when it comes to tantrums, because in this age and stage of development, kids are needing a sense of control. So William Glashers, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his last name there. My apologies. But his choice theory and the 5 basic needs explains this. And I will be diving into this a lot more with you in a different episode, where we're also going to be talking about the nervous system. So all of these pieces are going to make more sense, I promise. Just hang with me. But at this age, toddlers are finding their voice and what they want, what they don't want, when they want it, who they want it from. And so providing them with the sense of this control over their environment, of knowing what to expect and when it's happening and what we're going to be doing, is really supporting them developmentally in all the ways. But you will see a decrease in the tantrums and the pushback, especially around that age. Preschool age 2 to 5, going up to even school age of 6 to 8. Lots and lots of great benefits from routines and consistency, that in the long run, we are setting them up to be functioning and contributing adults to society, which I think it's safe to say that's a goal of every single parent for their child. I would think that's safe to say. But a great way we can help support our kids in this age group through routines and consistency is with a visual routine chart. So, like, as they're getting older, they can take on more responsibility, right? Their brain development is there and it's appropriate for them to start doing things on their own. So, we can support them in having routines and consistency and schedules, and also support their need of development of having choices or doing things on their own through visual aid and charts can help really support them in this. So, like a morning routine or a bedtime routine or afternoon lunch nap snack kind of routine. Implementing it, especially around the toddler age, is just going to support them in having that control, like I said. And it's really going to come in hand when they come up to age around 5 or so, and kids are developmentally able to start taking on responsibilities like getting dressed and getting ready by themselves. So, for an example, I brought my bonus baby's morning chart routine. I made this for free on Canva, printed it off, laminated it so it's a little bit more durable. I can withstand some things, but it's very simple. I have 1 through 7 on here. I have an alarm clock. We wake up, go to the bathroom, wash our hands, we get dressed, brush our hair, brush our teeth, time for breakfast. This was an absolute game changer for our household, especially as my bonus baby started going to school. And then I had a baby, and then my husband goes to work early, so it's just me in the mornings. I would not classify myself as a morning person. Plus, juggling and navigating, how to be a full time mom with a baby and a newborn, and then getting him ready for school. And we have a bit of a commute, so making sure we're in the car the right time to drive to get us to school on time. Very stressful, very stressful. And this dramatically helped our mornings because he knows what to expect and what to do without me having to say it over and over and over and over again, which becomes very overstimulating and triggering for me and would make our mornings extremely chaotic and not fun for anybody. So this gave him control. He knows what to do. I can remind him, like, hey, okay, look at the next one. And I can do that while still getting myself ready. You get the idea. I would, if you're going to do this for your kid, pay attention to maybe areas that they might need a little bit more extra support. So my bonus baby does great getting dressed by himself. Socks, shoes, undies. No, wait, he does good with pants, shirt, socks, undies. Usually forgets the shoes. So I made sure that I put shoes on this so he can visually see it and be like, oh yeah, I need to grab my shoes. Those are just ways to help set them up for success. And this goes with the William Glasser's choice theory and the 5 basic needs. Like, this supports having choices, consistency, doing it myself, having the option to say yes, all the good things. I don't care what order he really gets them done through. I just want 1 through 6 to be done before 7 because he does this. I get his food on the table and then I go get ready. I need to do one for bedtime too. I just haven't yet. I don't know why I just haven't. But I know providing this for him for bedtime would also be very, very beneficial in our house. So that was number 1. Kids need routines, kids need consistency. To wrap all that up, it supports them in every single area of development, mentally, emotionally, physically. You're supporting a lot of their basic needs, and you are going to see a decrease in tantrums and pushbacks when children know what to expect and when it's going to be happening. Which leads us to number 2, children need boundaries. It's okay to be a bad guy every once in a while and say no. Shocker here, but it's our job to be a parent and to be a parent. We are to teach, we are to help learn, we are to guide and support. We're not to be best friends. I think once your kids are out of your house and not needing so much guidance and support and learning, like everyday life kind of things, that would be an appropriate time that you can like build more of that friendship relationship with your kids. But when they're living in your home, rules, and they're growing, that's not a time to be a best friend. It's time to be a parent. So when you say no, that means no. If you are needing something done or it's not a question, like your child doesn't have a choice, make a statement. Don't be asking a question. So if it's time to go and you ask your kid, "Are you ready to go?" and they say no because you asked a question, well, now what? You're like, "Okay, too bad. We got to go anyway." If it's time to go, say, "Hey, it's time to go." Don't ask a question about it. But we want to be able to give them choices, right? And this is going back into kids need consistency in routines. This is going to support them in the William Glacier's choices, basic needs. This plays into this. And this is going to really help you with tantrums and pushbacks. So this is how we can do this while having boundaries. Give your kid choices that the answers are both yes. So kids need a chance to make a choice for themselves. Imagine you woke up and you did not get to make a decision for yourself the entire day. So what time you woke up was decided for you, what you wore, how you had to get ready, what you had for breakfast, when you ate breakfast. You get the idea. Your entire day, somebody else made that choice for you. By the end of the day, how would you feel? Probably very frustrated and overwhelmed and sick of it, right? Kids are no different. So giving them a choice, especially starting around age 2, is supporting that basic human need, which comes from the William Glacier's choice theory and 5 basic needs, which helps kids have less tantrums and pushbacks because they're having a say. They're getting to have those choices, and as humans, we all want that. So a great example here. Let's say we're at the park playing, it's time to leave. Give your kids some kind of a heads up. But remember that younger kids don't have a sense of time, so saying, "Oh, we're going to leave in 10 minutes" isn't going to do much. So what you can say is, "We're going to go down the slide 2 more times," or "We're going to do 10 more pushes on the swing." You can give them a choice. Would you like to go down the slide again or swing? And then let them know, like, when we're done, we're done. Okay, we went down the slide 2 more times. It's time to go. We're holding a boundary. Stand firm in it. And then you can give them options to help that transition and to get done what you need to be done while supporting your kids' needs of having choices and the option to say yes. So we went down the slide 2 more times. It's time to go. Would you like to get your water bottle or would you like me to? The answer is yes to each one. If they want to get it, great. If not, you got it. No problem. The water bottle is getting picked up. What should we need to do? Would you like to walk to the car by yourself or do you want to hold my hand? Or do you want to help push your sister in the stroller? Giving them options, and we're getting the job done, all while standing firm on our boundary that we went down the slide 2 more times and it's time to leave. You get the idea here. A little secret for you. If this is new, let's say your kiddo's a little bit older, this is something that's been difficult, having a lot of pushback and tantrums and things, this is going to increase the tantrums and the pushback that you're seeing if you start standing firm in your boundary here. Especially if your kid's kind of used to, well, if I whine enough, I get what I want, or I can negotiate something. When mom says no, that means no. When it's time to go, it's time to go. So if you're just now starting to do this, expect the pushback, pre-warning. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be a little difficult. But the more you stick with it, the easier it's going to get. It really is. And you are doing a great job as a parent. You're supporting your kid. It's going to get easier. I promise you that. I am living proof of this. Okay, so you're like, that sounds great, Madison. You make it sound so simple, but you don't know my kid. Because after I say, okay, 2 times down the slide, it's time to go, my kid's on the floor, kicking, screaming, crying. It's a whole scene, and we're out in public, and I get so overstimulated because that's embarrassing, and everyone thinks I'm a bad mom. And I'm also trying to juggle my other kid, and I just can't, like, I don't know what to do. I hear you. I know it's easier said than done. I know that. Those feelings, that anxiety, the fact that I can be very hard in public, people are staring, all of that is valid, okay? Take a deep breath with me. You can do this. Here's my advice. This is also where it gets a little bit tricky. because there are a lot of pieces that go into this. I'm really trying my best to give you the pieces so that they make sense and I can set you up to be successful without being an information overload and without losing you. There's almost two answers to this. And it's important that you know and start to learn to understand where your child is at with their nervous system. I will be doing a whole episode on nervous system, I promise you. But knowing where they are and how this nervous system works is going to play a really big part in how we handle a tantrum or a meltdown. Those are two different things. Because once we become unregulated, so we are off our charts, our kids are kicking, crying, screaming. Think of your body's on fire. Okay. Our brains don't work, they turn off. We can't talk to kids in this time. We can't reason with kids. Their brain doesn't work. So sometimes it's important that we slow down and we help our kids calm down so we can get their brain back on. They can be logically thinking and understanding with us. We can solve our problem to move forward. But it also can be a mix of holding a boundary and helping their bodies. I'm going to try to give you an example of this mix and what this looks like. Personal example of how we can hold our boundary while also emotionally supporting our kids. And I hope you see that this does help our parenting and our kids, but I also get that this isn't easy and we are all human and we aren't perfect. So there are times that you're going to be like, I did not handle that the best way. I know. We're all there, okay? So here's my personal example. When it's bedtime or time to get ready for bath, sometimes my child throws a big fit. He doesn't want to go. And that results in him throwing his body on the floor. Kicking, screaming, crying. He melts into the floor, right? Like I'm not walking to the bathroom. And so I'm holding the boundary of it's time to take a bath. And I can give him a choice. Are you going to walk by yourself or am I going to help your body? And I give him that chance to answer, to make a choice. Sometimes they say, make a choice, please, or I'm going to make one for you. Letting him know this is your chance. If you're not going to make a choice, I'm going to be making one for you. And so if he's not choosing to stand up and walk to the bathroom, then I'm going to help his body. I'm going to help pick him up and bring him to the bathroom. I'm holding the boundary. It's time to take a tub. So I help into the bathroom and he's still very upset. Usually that motion of helping him really gets him fired up. So I'm just paying attention to his cues. And at this point, let's say he is screaming, crying, like off the rocket. He's unregulated. And the more you see this and understand this, you're going to see this in your kid and you're going to be able to tell where they're at. And often you can really start to pinpoint like why they're here. So I'm like, okay, I can tell where he's at. He's unregulated. His brain's not working. So in this moment, we're going to pause everything that's going on. And my only goal is to help him calm down so that we can continue this process. I've held the boundary, right? We're taking a bath. Do it yourself, or I'm going to help your body. I helped him to the bathroom. But now we're here. This is still happening. I'm holding this boundary. But I'm going to help him become regulated by being his calm and being a safe space. And trust me, we're going to get to this a lot more. There are lots of tools and strategies and things that we can do. There's a lot of work and tools and strategies that we have to learn and do as a parent because that moment can be extremely triggering for us and make us unregulated. And an unregulated adult cannot help an unregulated child. So we as parents and we as adults first have to figure out how we can calm ourselves down and not feel like we're on fire or that we're getting chased by a bear. Open up our window of tolerance so we can be in those uncomfy situations a little bit longer each time and help our kids a little bit more. And we are living proof of this. It does work. but it takes constant time. It takes work every single day. It really does. Okay, so we're in the bathroom and I'm going to be the calm in his storm. So I'm going to help him calm down, offer him a hug, modeling some calming tools and strategies. And once I get him calmed back down and his brain is back on, we can continue. Like, usually at this point, he realizes, yep, like I'm taking a tub. And I give him another choice. Would you like to take a shower or a bath? Cool. Would you like to have bubbles or no bubbles? Still giving him choices, but the boundary is we're taking a bath and we're doing it right now. That's that. So hopefully this makes sense. So kind of going back to the like playground example, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, you gotta do what you can to keep your kids safe. So sometimes that might be you're just like hoisting up one kid who's kicking and screaming while carrying the other one to the car. That's that. People are gonna stare. People are gonna look. Let them. We've all been there. It doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It means you're a great mom. And then maybe in the car, if they're still upset, then that's the time that we get to pause and help them calm down. Like I get it's not fun to leave the park. I know it's not fun to be told no. I get it. I'd be upset too sometimes. But we're doing this and we're gonna calm down and we're gonna move on. So do what you gotta do. Keep your kids safe, keep yourself safe. Sometimes you're gonna just have to help their bodies. And that's just that. Another personal experience I will share with you that was one of the hardest for me as a parent. I had both kids at Walmart and it was supposed to be a really fun day. I went and got donuts with my son. I had both my kids, but we went and got donuts for my bonus son. And we were going to the store to get some things to make Christmas goodies together because I didn't have school. And I just really wanted to spend a little bit of extra time with him since we had been going through that new transition of just him to then having a sibling and it had been rocky. Like I just wanted to spend a day to like really prioritize our relationship. And it went downhill really fast in the store over candy canes. And holding a boundary of we're not having a candy cane right now. And that really upset him. And it just progressively got worse. And I would say a family value of ours is like we don't reward bad behavior, I guess is the best way to say that. I mean, I still look back on it and wonder if I could have handled it a little bit differently or a little bit better, but it resulted in us not buying any of the candy canes for our Christmas tree. And he also was going to be getting a new sensory toy for his Feel Better box, and we ended up not purchasing that either due to what was going on in the store. And he was like borderline on absolutely losing his cool. And of course, the checkout line took forever. And we're like leaving the store, and the lady that stands at the front of Walmart was like trying to be helpful, but it was not helping. And he's like throwing himself on the floor, lots of eyes. Like he's almost bloody murder screaming at this point. Like he was kind of containing himself. He was holding back. Wasn't his max, but we were getting there. I had so many eyes on me. Like I'm juggling a baby and a carrier and him and groceries. Then we get out in the car and it gets worse. And of course, like right across from me, this couple's working on their car. So they're witnessing this whole thing. And eventually got to the point that I'm like, I just have to get him to the car because I can keep him safe and contain him more in the car. But once he got in the car, it was like full on. He realized at that point, like, I wasn't kidding and we didn't get anything that he wanted and he was really upset. So then I'm trying to keep him safe and keep my baby safe, and he is throwing things and screaming. I'm like, okay, well, I can't really put my baby in the car right now. That's also going to hurt his ears, but it's cold outside. It was very, very overwhelming and very overstimulating. And so I share this story with you because even when you have quote unquote all the information and quote unquote know exactly what to do, that doesn't mean that there's still going to be situations that just are horrible or you still respond sometimes or do things in the way that you're like, I'm not super proud of that. And push comes to shove at the end of the day, you need to keep yourself safe and you keep your kids safe. That's what's most important. And so this leads us into my third advice, my third whatever tip and trick for you is repairing after rupture. Now, I've come to learn a lot of parenting advice and whatever, and all this research is the same. It's just worded differently. So, repair after rupture or pause and repair, like, there's so many different ways that you can call it, but essentially, apologizing. That's really what it comes down to. And so, rupture doesn't make you a bad parent. When things happen that you're not proud of, maybe postpartum rage got the best of you, or being super overstimulated in the store, then you like yelled or whatever, okay? Incidences that you're like, I didn't handle that the way I really wanted to, and I'm not proud of it, does not make you a bad parent. But repairing after that is what will help create an absolute amazing relationship with your children. We have to apologize to our kids. We have to. We are not perfect, and I think it's valid to say there's a fear around apologizing to your kids because you don't want it to ruin your authority, or for your kids to think, I don't know. I know that there's fears around that. Like, you don't want to, or it's like our own personal ego, for lack of a better word there. We got to put that away, because if we expect our kids to apologize to us or to apologize to other kids when they've messed up, and we want them to be adults who know how to say sorry when we've oofed up, even think about if they get married, okay? Do you want your child to know how to apologize to their spouse and to nurture that relationship? Absolutely. That starts now. We have to show them what that looks like. So I'm going to show you what a meaningful apology looks like. And this is another one of those moments where I know this can be a lot. So I'm going to first kind of give an example of an apology, and then I'm going to try to break it down for you, because there is like a 1 through whatever, I don't even know how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 through 8, that you can write down to map out an apology for yourself and know exactly how to do it. So here's an example. Hey, hon, is it okay if I come into your room? What are you working on? Oh, that's so cool. I really love how you built those Legos. So I was hoping to apologize for what happened earlier today. Are you open for that? Can we talk? Are you okay to talk with me right now? Okay. So I imagine you're feeling pretty confused about what happened this morning because of how I became upset and I yelled at you. I regret how I lost control and I made you feel really scared. And you became stressed and overwhelmed too. We were just hoping for a smooth morning, but then it became really tense. So next time, I'm going to do my best to get up a little bit earlier so I can get these things done before you're up and needing me, so that way I'm not feeling so rushed and overwhelmed. And that will help me stay calm. But for right now, would it be okay if I give you a big hug? I love you, and I'm going to keep trying to be your safe place. Okay, so I'm going to break that down for you. First thing that we do is we just connect with our kid. So in this example, like, my kid's in his room, playing. So I ask if I can come in. What are you working on? I love that. It looks so good. Then we're going to ask for consent. Are you open to talk with me? And our kids could say no. They might not be ready to talk about it, and that's okay. If you haven't ever really sat down and have a conversation like this with your kid, especially when they get a little bit older and can really process things, this might be really uncomfortable for them because they don't know what's going on. Like, this is new. So they might be like, I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. And if they don't want to talk right now, that's okay. Be like, is there a time you think you would be ready? Like, can I come back and check in like 10 minutes or 30 minutes? Give them that space too, okay? And then we're going to imagine how they're feeling. So I imagine you are feeling blank. Think of this as like an empathy guess. Imagine you're feeling sad, confused, hurt, scared. When we yell, it scares our kids. Them feeling scared is a very valid feeling for that. Because of my choice to blank. So we're going to say like what we did that made them feel that way. because I yelled, because I'm blanking at what else I could have done. Usually it's yelling for me around here. I regret how I blank because it caused you to blank. So I regret how I yelled at you because it caused you to be scared. I regret how I ignored you because it made you feel unloved. Whatever it may be. In the future, I'll do my best to blank. So we're taking accountability for our actions and going to think of what we can do to set ourselves up for success next time. So in this example, a great example, personal example, is when I start to feel overwhelmed and rushed, I definitely become overstimulated so quick and I snap very easily. So if I get myself up 10, 15 minutes earlier to make sure whatever needs to be done in the morning is done, or I can get myself ready first, I'm not stressed about that. We're just setting ourselves up for a better morning where I don't feel overstimulated and slap at my kid. So here's what I'll do right now. This is a calming strategy is what we'll do here. So whether it's you've already done it because you had to calm down before you come in to apologize, breathing, taking a walk, whatever, we'll get into calming strategies on nervous system stuff. Or it can also be like a hug. Like a hug with them can really help calm us down. For now, would it support you if blank? So I gave you a hug or I helped you do something, whatever. And a key thing here is we are not asking for forgiveness. We're not saying, will you forgive me, please? Do you forgive me? We're not saying that. We're going to give our children time. And our only goal when we come to repair after rupture is to have our child regain safety from us modeling self accountability. So when I say regain safety, or I keep saying a secure and safe relationship, think back to when you were a child and a moment that happened in your home that made you feel unsafe. That just made you feel, ooh, maybe your parents were fighting. Maybe you got yelled at. Maybe you got told to go to your room every time you did something wrong. Think back to younger self you and how you felt in that moment. When we have these moments where we're not very proud of what we're doing and what happened, our children often don't feel safe. And that doesn't mean because you're doing horrible things to them. No. Their little bodies and their little nervous systems are learning what safety is. They're growing. Their brain is literally becoming wired around what is safe and what isn't safe. And yelling or feeling unsupported, whatever, oftentimes does not come across as feeling safe. So when we are going into their room, or wherever they are, to repair, we are wanting to help our child regain safety. We are wanting their nervous system to calm down and for them to see that we are taking self-accountability, that we're human, we're sorry, we're going to work on this, and that we love them. That's the only goal here. I know the mom guilt can be consuming. I know it can eat you alive. I know you can lay in bed at night replaying the situation and beating yourself up that you did the thing you said you would never do, or maybe there's things that happened in your home growing up that you swore would never be you, and it happened today. That mom guilt can eat you up alive. But I encourage you to give yourself some grace. You're a good mom. You're a good mom. And realizing it realizing the areas that you want to do better in is one of those first steps. So forgive yourself. And I will put money down. Ugh, I'm getting a little emotional here. When you go and repair with your kid, that feeling is going to be life giving. It's huge. It really is. I just think of the times that I've like done something that I wasn't proud of, and I went and repaired. I went and I apologized, and I made that reconnection with my kid a priority, and it's beautiful. It really is. So, my goal for you, my I don't know what word I'm trying to think of. Encouragement for you this week is to do this at least once, especially when it's hard. Like that moment, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to take accountability and to say sorry for something. But it's really big for you and your kids' relationship. Whew. Okay, we're good. I was not expecting to get emotional about that. Just, I really empathize with having that mom guilt and wanting to do better. All right, to lift things up a little bit, I'm gonna give you a fun fact. Brain science, brain science is really cool to know and learn about, and very, very beneficial on the parenting side of things. So, around age 3 to 4, and some sources will just say 3.5. They just split that in the middle. But the part of the brain that we need, that kids need, to start to understand what sharing even is starting to develop. This blew my mind when I learned this, because I think around 2.5 to 3, I would say, a lot of us parents are trying to tell our kids to share, and our kids are becoming more social and around a lot more kids, and toys are like mine. And I hear this a lot of parents being like, my kid is so mean, they don't share, like I'm a bad parent. All these negative thoughts fill our brain. They're not true. They're just silly thoughts. But when we understand the part of the brain science that our kids can't even start to understand what sharing is, because that part of their brain isn't even developed, it just helps sets us up to be more successful and our kids to be more successful. Because expecting our freshly 3-year-old to be able to share perfectly is just unrealistic and inappropriate, because their brain isn't there yet. So, random fact, fun fact, keep it in mind as our babies are growing. Oh, and that part of the brain isn't typically fully developed until age 5. So it takes a while to grow and to develop. So around age 5 is a more appropriate age for us to be able to expect our kids to know what sharing is and to do that successfully. We can still teach them and implement and help support them to become kind, caring, compassionate little kids. Absolutely. But just give yourself some grace if you're like, why can't my child share? Their brain is just, that's growing that part that they need. So this would be our question segment. And at this time, I don't have any questions that have been sent in to me yet, but I'm hoping, since this episode was a little bit more educational, it might spark some more questions. So if any part of this episode sparked a question, you're like, okay, but how can I handle this? Or this happened and I tried what you said and this was the result, start sending them to me, please. And I will debrief it and go over it here in this part of the segment. And this wraps up episode 4 of Advice from a Know-It-All. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Our next episode, I haven't quite decided. We'll see what my husband wants to do, but it's either going to be my ick for gentle parenting or the man, the myth, the legend himself, my husband's going to be on the podcast. Super pumped for both of these. So you'll just have to stay tuned to see which one it is. And with that, aim straight, shoot straight, babes. I encourage you to do one of these things this week. Pick just one if you want. Make it a priority to try it and do your best with it. Until next episode, aim straight, shoot straight.